All right, welcome everybody to QB Power Hour. Today's topic is top 10 QuickBooks apps for 2015. And I guarantee that if you are dabbling into apps or looking for apps to recommend to your clients or even for your own practice, you're going to love this episode because we're going to talk about the top 10 apps that we have chosen and the reasons why. And we'll tell you a little bit about each one of them. Today is December 17th, 12 p.m. QB Power Hour is a webinar series, usually every other week at 12 p.m. Our next episodes are going to be, our next official episode will be on January 14th, so about a month from now. I did promise that I'll try to squeeze in a bonus episode from today until January 14th, but you won't know that until I actually find some time and find the topic because I don't think I can go a whole month without doing another webinar. I'm kind of addicted to doing these things. Anyway, so our next episode will be January 14th, 2016. And then we'll get back to every 2 weeks regular programming. Usually we cover tips, tricks, and advanced insights. And every webinar will have a different topic. And it's typically 50% QuickBooks Desktop, 50% QuickBooks Online. Every once in a while, we'll invite special guests and third-party apps to talk about other things that QuickBooks cannot do. We talk about practice management topics and things related to the small business and accounting industries and news. This particular episode will be 100% about third-party apps because we are actually going to talk about 10 apps. So the agenda is we talked about QB Power Hour. I'll introduce myself and Michelle Long, my co-host, and some of the guest speakers. We're going to talk about the CPE process, some of the announcements and updates, and the topics for today. The learning objectives are: we'll go through these introductions. Will be about 5 minutes. We'll cover the ranking methodology, so how we came up with the top 10, because this is a purely subjective ranking based on objective techniques by Michelle and I. So, how we came up with this, why we chose them. Then we'll briefly talk about 7 of the 10 apps, and these are not in any particular order. We'll talk about 7 of the apps, and then we have space to demo 3 of them. Now, the 3 that we're demoing are not the top 3, and the 3 that we're demoing are not favorites. These are just the ones that we haven't presented or we thought it was a good opportunity to present in this particular instance. But all top 10 app awards have the same ranking. And then at the very end, we'll do the outro and the CPE polling. So my co-host is Michelle Long. She's actually going to be sort of behind the scenes answering questions because she's simultaneously also teaching a live class in Los Angeles. So she'll be in the chat and stuff like that. And she was very much involved with me in picking the top 10. It just happens that Intuit needed her today to do a live training. And right now she's actually teaching about 300 or 400 people how to get certified in QuickBooks Online. She's an author of many books, such as how to be start a successful bookkeeping consulting firm. And she runs the LinkedIn group that has 150,000 plus members. So join that because that's a humongous group of all QuickBooks consultants. Myself, I'm Hector Garcia. I work and live in Miami, Florida. I'm a partner in QuickBook Keeping, my practice. We do mostly QuickBooks trading or QuickBooks consulting. And I love doing videos and webinars, and this is why we're doing this. The main sponsors of this webinar series is Michelle Long and myself. We actually spend our own time and resources to put this together. We are not affiliated with Intuit, although we are very QuickBooks centric in the topics that we talk about. But we are, everything we say, it comes from our mouth and not from Intuit's mouth or legal department. We are Intuit friendly, so we just make sure that our message and Intuit's message do align. Now, third-party developers and other speakers, we do vet them. In many situations, they are sponsors, so they actually do pay to do demonstrations here. But none of the third-party vendors that were selected in the top 10 paid to be in that top 10 list. Michelle and I actually picked our top 10, and then we went to them and offered them to do a demonstration. And the first 3 that picked it are the 3 that are going to do the demo today. Now, how the CPE process works. So if you're a CPA, certified bookkeeper, anyone that needs specifically CPE, you must attend the webinar live. Although we record these and post them in YouTube, watching them in YouTube does not give you CPE. You must be logged in for at least 50 minutes during this hour time frame. So if you log in 9 minutes late, I think you're still okay. We're going to give you a CPE password somewhere at the beginning. Write it down, and then towards the end of the webinar, we'll give you a polling question, and you must answer that correctly. We can make exceptions. You have to answer it correctly for us to give the CPE. CPE certificates will be mailed to you in about 3 weeks. I mean, not mailed, emailed to you within 3 weeks. We're still behind on the last episode, so we have not done the CPE for December 10th, and obviously we have not done the CPE for today. And I promise you, you're going to get those before the end of the year. All right, so some upcoming live and web events. So Intuit, it's on tour right now and in January for the QuickBooks Online certification prep. If you are in Miami, Orlando, or Jacksonville, the first week of January, Michelle and I are teaching that course. And if you go to intuitacademy.com, there are other courses in other cities with other trainers. January 13th and 14th, we're going to have a virtual conference. Intuit's going to have a virtual conference. There's all sorts of great topics there. Go to quickbooksbcom.com. And then after tax season in May, woodardevents.com, Scaling New Heights is a live event in Bahamas. It should be great. Now, right after this webinar, I think today is December 17th. Yeah, so right after this webinar, there's going to be a webinar that Michelle's going to do, and she's sort of prepared for that one, which is the Firm of the Future webinars. So just go to firmofthefuture.com and click on register, and you should be able to choose which section you want. Just register for the webinar, and there's different parts. So I would definitely recommend that. That's a great follow-up webinar. It's 2 p.m. Central, so I think that's shortly after our webinar. Anyway, so ranking methodology. So how did we come up with this? So these top 10 apps were chosen by Michelle and I because either her or myself use it. In some situations, we both use it, but in some situations, I use it very heavily or she uses it very heavily. And even if we don't use it, we recommend it actively to colleagues and current clients. Now, we give higher rankings to the ones listed in apps.com because that means that they've been vetted by Intuit. So it's kind of a big deal. We look at the reviews and rankings in apps.com. That actually greatly influences how we chose the top 10. If they work in both QuickBooks Desktop and QBO, that's an important piece. There are some apps that we love that we think could make the top 10, but because they only worked in desktop or only worked on QBO, we gave it a little bit less ranking, and some of them didn't actually made it to the top 10 just because they only worked in a single platform. Now, we looked at developer support, customer service, and access to partner accountant programs. That's also an important piece, an important factor for us to consider the top 10. Also, strong focus on improving the app. So developers that take my feedback, Michelle's feedback, and everybody that we know, their feedback, and they use that to improve upon the product. That is something that we look at as well. Now, we look at uniqueness and the competitive advantage versus competitors. So we are going to, as we go through the apps, we're going to talk about some of their competitors or their similar tools that are out there. Not necessarily going to pin them against each other, just going to mention that they do have a major competitor, but they do have a uniqueness element to it. Now, they need to be easy to use and implement. For me, that was a really important deal, because if I recommend an app to a client and it's hard to use, that's just not going to work. And then having training, reference materials, or educational resources. All right, so the official name of the award that we're giving is Top 10 Apps for QuickBooks of 2015. This logo, which we designed internally, is a logo that we'll give to all the developers, and that they can use this in their marketing material, or they can announce it, or they can say, hey, we were top 10, and they have bragging rights for a whole year. Anyway, so I guess I should have done a drum roll. Anyway, the top 10 apps for 2015, again, no particular order, and the ones that are bolded in the bottom are the ones that will do a demo right after I explain the first 7. And the ones that have an asterisk are the ones that that never sponsored, or they've never done a QB Power Hour demo to date. So there's a few of these that have never done a demo before, and obviously we'll love to do a demo at some point. So let's go one by one, and let's start with the apps. Again, no particular order. I'm going to go one by one, the first 7 apps, and then the last 3, they're going to be demonstrated, so you're actually going to see those live. Expensify is a receipt management and expense reporting tool. It can manage expenses, typically for sort of a mobile workforce, for people that travel and people that need to do expense reports. The Expensify expense reports are very easy to read, very easy to construct. You can manage expenses, you can manage mileage and manage time, and you can use Expensify both to get reimbursed as an employee, to get reimbursements from your employer, and also to create billable expenses that then transfer into QuickBooks and then you use to create invoices for your client. So it actually works both for the billable and unbillable side. Now, some fun facts about Expensify. One is they recently announced an Uber integration. So because it's mostly for travel stuff, that does make sense. So the Uber integrates with it pretty easily. It has a smartphone app for you to scan receipts that are not used with a credit card per se. So if you pay something in cash or something like that, you can scan the receipt, and that can be part of your expense report. It can connect to your credit cards, to your Amex, to your Chase credit card, whatever. It can connect to your credit card and it can download it for you. So it can allow every employee to just log into their card and and pick and choose the job cost or the categories or the comments on each of them. And the best part is pro advisors, QuickBooks consultants and accountants and pro advisors get a free account. So just contact Expensify and they will set up a free account for your own business. So that's actually one of the best parts. That does heavily influence whether you're a top 10 if you actually are accountant friendly. Um, anyway, why we picked it as a top 10, I think from the few that I have used, it's the easiest one to implement. The interface, the website is really clean. They have great customer service and they have one of the deepest brand recognition. So you can ask a lot of people across the board, users and QuickBooks consultants, about whether they use it or not, about an expense management app. And typically Expensify is the first one that comes up. Now, some of the similar tools are out there. Is Tally does similar work. Receipt Bank on the receipt management side does similar work. TSheets um, on the time tracking part does similar work. Concur, Amex Receipt Match, it's actually looks very similar. And BQE, BillClick, and Big Time, right? So this is a hybrid, right? So this does both time management and expense management. All right, next one, Bill.com. Bill.com is an accounts payable management system. Scan, upload, and email bills into Bill.com. Bills.com. You can code them and get them approved. And then after they're approved, you can either send them to be paid directly through Bill.com, or then you can send them to be posted into QuickBooks. So that's really the heart of Bill.com. It can also do AR management. So if you want QuickBooks to send all your open invoices to Bill.com and send automated emails to clients that haven't paid you and give them a platform to pay you, that's Bill.com is. Now, some of the fun facts is Bill.com is an entire platform. So many other apps integrate. HubDoc is one of them. Actually, combination of Bill.com and HubDoc is a real powerful one. Also, great news, if you're a QuickBooks Pro advisor, there's a free Bill.com account for your own practice. Now, why we picked it, I think it's best in class. I haven't seen anything else like Bill.com. It has some competitors, but nobody has the platform that they have. It's very reliable. I've never heard complaints about it not working, and it does both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online. Bill and Pay is a similar system in terms of competitors for AR management, and Expensify for sort of that expense approval can do that. There's also something called XT Bills. I didn't have a chance to add it in there. Kathy Kaufman here from the chat is answering. XT Bills, check that one out as well. I guess that's another similar tool, but I haven't used it, so of course that one didn't even come into the ranking space. All right, HubDoc. So HubDoc is a single document management system that allows both the manual uploading of documents, similar to Bill.com. You can use an app, scan it, you can email it, or you can also, this is really the unique piece about it, you can automate the downloading from online resources. So you can actually put your username and password to your Amex, to your Bank of America, to your Wells Fargo, to your Amazon account, to your Comcast account. You can put your username and password to almost all the major vendors and financial institutions, and HubDoc will go online, fetch them, and put them in the repository for you in a single document management system. Now, some of the fun facts, it can connect to Bill.com, so it's a really killer combination. And also, they're adding new banks and new financial institutions every day, and they're very open and friendly to adding new banks in there. They've done at least 2 or 3 for clients of mine. Now, why we picked them? Uniqueness. I think this is the only product I've seen that does this automation of aggregation and automation of digital documents. I haven't seen any other product that does that. So I think just by its sheer uniqueness, we picked it as a top 10. Now, Receipt Bank, again, that's to scan receipts. It's similar from that perspective. Smart Vault as a document management is similar from that perspective. Bill.com is also a document repository. So from that perspective, they're similar. Neat, Expensify, and Concur. Again, that doesn't mean that the ones that I'm listing as competitors or similar tools are one-to-one, feature by feature comparable. That means that some of the stuff you can do. And this is kind of a common theme as we, between HubDoc, Expensify, Bill.com, and Receipt Bank. Now, Receipt Bank is sort of a single use tool, single function tool, but it does their job really well. And we picked it because of simplicity. Receipt Bank is a very simple app, and it just works really well. You can scan or receipts, and it reads them, and it'll automatically detect the vendor, the name, the amount, and allow you to do the categorization from your smartphone. And that really automates a lot of the manual receipt data entry. Now, some of the fun fact is that their computer system or their servers actually do the work, but there are sort of human beings behind the scenes looking at exceptions and manually correcting things. So this is not just one big server that does this. We also have people looking at the accuracy of this. So I thought that was kind of an interesting fun fact. And also, great news, it's free for pro advisors. There's a free account for pro advisors as well. So as you can tell, having a free account for pro advisors does skew me a little bit towards giving you top 10 ranking. Michelle as well, I think she agreed with me on that one. All right. Okay. So next one, Qvinci. So Qvinci can take multiple QuickBooks files from desktop, from online. That's one thing I love. It can do both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, and it can consolidate them in a single tool. Now, some of the fun facts about it is it can do consolidated reports, and it can take your chart of accounts literally the way it is in your system, in your QuickBooks file, but it can also remap a chart of accounts. So you can have one chart of accounts in QuickBooks that just works for your client in that particular company and that industry. And you can have a different chart of accounts in Qvinci that it's remapped. So you can actually, because if you have multiple companies of different industries, it would look kind of strange to have this really diverse chart of accounts with different names and redundant names. So having a single chart of accounts that can map to different companies, to me, it's a huge feature. Now, we picked it because I thought it was best in class. Michelle as well. It's very easy to set up, and they're improving, and the company's growing. So I've seen so many improvements in the past year that I can only see Qvinci get better and better through the years. Now, some of the similar tools is one called Spotlight Multi or Multi-Company, QCube, Syntegration, Consolidated Reporting, something called Q2Q, Report Combiner, and Fathom HQ. Now, there's no free account for pro advisors for Qvinci, as far as I know. I don't know if they'll give you maybe a test, or they'll give you like a test account for a free trial period, but I haven't seen or they haven't published a free account for advisors. But again, you would definitely have it would be a great recommendation for a client that wants to consolidate reports. And we did do a demonstration of Qvinci a couple of months ago, so look it up in our YouTube recordings. Now, in a similar area on the report area, we have Finagraph. Now, Finagraph is a lot simpler than Qvinci. Qvinci is a lot more powerful from a details perspective, but Finagraph does a really good job at summarizing. Okay, I think that's really the power is in simplicity. Okay, why we picked it as top 10 is because Finagraph started with explanations. So every single thing that you KPI, a ratio that you see in the financial statement being analyzed, it's explained one by one. And it's hard to explain as well. They did a webinar for us about a year ago, so we have to. You can look at that recording, and every single ratio, every single indication. Calculation is explained really well. So it's great to teach you, how to read financial statements, and it's also great to teach your client how to read financial statements. Now, fun fact, Finagraph was sort of built and designed for banks to do analytics for making decisions about lending. So if you're looking for a financial tool that's very bank friendly in terms of bank loans and stuff like that, Finagraph would be a great choice for that. Similar tools, Spotlight Reporting, QCube, BizTools, Qvinci, and Fathom HQ. All right, the next app, MethodCRM. Method is a complete customer relationship management tool. What's really great about it is it was built for QuickBooks. So every single data point inside QuickBooks, every single field, I'm not saying every single, but I'm saying almost every field in QuickBooks is shared with Method. That means that Method can push extra data into QuickBooks, and it can also retrieve extra data from QuickBooks that an average CRM system can do. And you can use you can use Method just for CRM, or you can actually build and customize screens that can do things beyond CRM. I have a client, for example, we designed an accounts payable approval process through Method. We could have done that with Bill.com, but we needed some specific data points from QuickBooks to be in there, so we designed that with Method. Now, some fun facts is in 2014, QB Connect, they won in the hackathon for an add-on app called Donor to solve the nonprofit donor collection process. And then this year, the QB Connect from last year, they also won in one of the top places for an add-on called Pledge, also in this nonprofit world. So it's kind of a fun fact there. And similar tools, we have Results CRM, Salesforce, Soho CRM, Insightly, Legrand, and Agile CRM. And I haven't used all those CRMs, but no CRM system can grab as many data points from QuickBooks as this one can. All right, let me take finally a time for a break for me. I'm going to bring in Steven. And Steve, can we just check your audio before we bring you in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Hector. How you doing?
Okay. Hey, Steven, how are you? Let me introduce the tool. So a tool that I use a lot and I write about a lot in my blog is called Z-Axis Importer. Z-Axis Importer is a single desktop-based tool that can import data into QuickBooks from Excel. It can do desktop, it can do online, and it can do POS. Okay. One of the fun facts about it, I think, is because it's the only tool that I've seen or that I worked with that can import into QuickBooks Online without you having to pay a subscription per company. One of the issues that I have with some of their competitors or the similar tools is that you actually have to pay per QBO file. And I'm an accountant that manages a lot of clients. I have 150 clients, and I do like to seldomly import data here and there. And I just hate to have to pay per company. So I like just buying one tool that I can do both desktop and online, and also POS. I don't do a lot of POS, but it can also do POS. Another fun fact is with this tool, you can import IIF files. So if you have a special type of third-party app that does something else that could essentially import into QuickBooks, but you're using QBO, so you can't because the only way it exports is IIF. You can do it with Z-Axis. Now, why I picked it as top 10, it's a very comprehensive set of tools. It has a 30-day fully functional trial. So for me to recommend this to my clients is very easy because I can say, here, let's download the trial. If it works, buy it. If it doesn't work, don't buy it. Because importing data, it's complex, at least from a client perspective. Some of the similar tools is Transaction Pro Importer, Transaction Pro Plus, and Q2Q Data Transfer Utility. There's a few more, but those are the ones I mentioned. Okay, Steve, I'm going to give you, Steven, I'm going to give you presenter access. I'm going to give you presenter rights, and I just want to make sure that I can see your screen here. So do you want to share your screen now?
How's that?
Not yet from my part. Okay, now I can see it. Okay, perfect. Okay, go ahead, Steve, and then you have about 10 minutes. If you go a couple minutes long, no big deal, but I'll let you know if you go a little bit over. So wow, Steve, take it. Take it away.
Sure. Great. Well, thank you, Hector, for that introduction. I just really wanted to say what an honor it is here to be on the list, and thank you for the invitation to be on the show today. I actually, before I got on the show, I had a look through some of the last few episodes of QB Power Hour, and in particular, one of those I watched was one of the sessions that Michelle did, and that was really on moving from data entry to data management, and getting away from hourly billing towards value billing for QuickBooks Pro advisors and your practices. I think what Z-Axis can do is that can play a very important part in your zero data entry toolbox, and we can actually help you get away from a lot of your data entry requirements and get you towards data management and get you towards that value-based billing that Michelle and Hector have been really trying to convince you to do over the last few weeks. So what I'm going to do in this presentation is just give you a quick demonstration of it and give you some examples of that. But before I start, I know that Intuit have made big gains recently in reducing data entry. You know, particularly some of the things that Hector's talked about recently, such as, you know, bank feeds for QuickBooks Online, and also, you know, batch import for QuickBooks Pro Accountant. But what I want to say is that Z-Axis can fill a lot of the gaps that QuickBooks and QuickBooks Online can't do at the moment, and I'll show you some of those. So just a brief explanation about. Okay, so just a brief description of what Z-Axis is. It's obviously a desktop application that works with QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks POS. So that's all in one package. And we did this intentionally because we wanted you to be able to buy a utility that is like the Swiss Army knife for data importing or data exporting. So it all comes in one. There's no buying any additional packages. There's no subscribing to additional services. We also support a very wide range of transaction types. So whether it's the QuickBooks desktop from accounts receivable, accounts payable, journals, many of the inventory type transactions, as well as timesheets, you know, and also lists such as customers, updating price lists or custom field lists. So we support a very wide range of transactions, both for the desktop and for online as well. So as I said, we support QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks POS. So really it's, if you like, an all-in-one solution for you and for your practice. So a great utility to put in, you know, that data management toolkit. So the next part of the presentation, Hector really asked me to say, can you show us some of the, if you like, the pain points that QuickBooks users or QuickBooks Online users have today, and how Z-Axis can solve those data entry pain points for them. And one of the most topical of those that I found, and these are excerpts from the QuickBooks community forums, is that seems to come up very often these days is really about getting IIF files into QuickBooks Online. So I'm sure everyone's very familiar with the IIF format, and you know, you've all struggled perhaps with trying to construct IIF files and edit them in Word or Notepad or Excel. And so they know what they're like. They're not particularly easy to use. But the fact is there are a lot of IIF files around and a lot of applications that can produce IIF files. But interestingly, obviously Intuit has no support for that in importing into QuickBooks Online. I like to refer to IIF really as the undead of import formats. It's like Intuit wants it to go away, and almost acknowledging that, you know, it's part of our history. We want to move on from that. But again, a lot of applications are still using that to export data, and we can solve for that problem. And I'll show you a quick demonstration in a minute. The second pain point that I identified, really, again, topical. It's about QuickBooks Online, and it's more to do with client tidy-up. So how could we fix major problems in QuickBooks Online that it might have been created, you know, by a junior in the office? You know, there's a lot of bad data in there that needs to be either removed or edited. So how can we use that? If it's like, I know from coming from a desktop background, a lot of people with QuickBooks Desktop, you've been able to restore to backup. You know, that's always been the lifeline, the safety cord, you know, your way to get back to a situation before everything started to go wrong. But with QuickBooks Online, that's obviously not there, and I'm just going to show you a way that Z-Axis can help you to do that. So that's what I'm going to do, is just switch to the demonstration now.
And then while you switch, I'll give you just some quick context. So let's say you have the data in Excel, in a CSV, or in this case, IIF, and you need to put it into QuickBooks so you don't have to do manual data entry in online or desktop, or POS in this case. You could also do zero, but we never talk about zero in this format. So I just kind of, because I had some questions about like trying to get some clarification on that. So anyway, go ahead and do your demonstration.
Sure. So that, yeah, as Hector said, it's really about taking data that's held within text files, within Excel files, within IIF files, and getting that effectively easily into QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop. And we support, multiple import formats as well. So to show you the first example, I've got an IIF file here that is, typical invoice IIF, and that's opened up in Notepad so you can see the detail there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this data and now get that into QuickBooks Online. So this is Z-Axis. It's a desktop app. First step is really to select.
So some context. That IIF, could it come from a shopping cart software? It could have come from Harvest, or one of those apps that only exports in IIF. So this file that you've shown, for people that never seen it before, you don't have to type that in. That's because you're getting the IIF from somewhere else. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, that's right. And many of the examples that we get are from, particularly, we have a lot of customers who use Harvest, who are looking to get time entries into QuickBooks in a particular format. And also point of sale. We do Lightspeed as another point of sale that we've done IIF files for. So there's a lot out there that we have done work for in the past, and we're seeing an increasing demand for amongst QuickBooks Online users. So if you're familiar with connecting to QuickBooks Online from a third-party app, then this is the standard screen that you see. So we follow the same process that SaaS-based applications, so those web-based applications that you use to connect. And I'll just put in my credentials and get it. So that just takes a little while to do the actual login. And then once we've got the login, it maintains that connection to your company file. So you can select from multiple companies' files. And just to repeat what Hector said is, we don't charge per company file. We only charge you a one-time perpetual license for the software. So you can connect to as many QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop files as you like or as you have. So it's, if you have a lot of files, it can scale very quickly and make that a very, a good solution for you commercially. So once we've got a connection, it will show you the actual company file in the connection screen there. We can go through and we're going to go and pick up that IIF file that's been exported from your e-commerce store or from your third-party application. So once it opens it will open in this preview panel below here. And you can see the actual contents of the IIF file. And then you go through and you can select a map. So I've actually pre-created a map for this particular IIF file, but I'll show you what it looks like. So you have a very simple mapping screen where you can have all the QuickBooks Online fields that you can import to, and then in the secondary column you've got the IIF columns or IIF fields that you're going to map to those QuickBooks Online fields. And I'll show you how you do that. You've got a drop-down list, and you can select from all the lists, all the fields within that IIF file. For this example, I'm going to use the key mandatory file. So that's a document number, that's a date, a line amount, and an inventory item. What we have is also a data preview, so you can see what data you've mapped. You can also, if you like, put in a constant value, so that might be a value that doesn't exist within the IIF file, but you want to set when you import into QuickBooks Online. So, for example, there wasn't a field in this IIF file for whether it's taxable or non-taxable, so we've added in that in as a constant. So once we've done the mapping, we can save it. We can reuse that mapping next time we have the same IIF file. So you can set that up only once, and you can reuse it as many times as you like. Once the mapping's been done, you'll see now the preview has changed, and it shows only the data that we're going to import into QuickBooks Online and the fields that correspond with that. We can also edit into these fields, so we can edit any of these details if we like, if we want to update certain information before it gets imported. And then when we're ready, we can actually go ahead and process that directly into QuickBooks Online. So this can process, batches of invoices. You may have several hundred invoices that you're trying to get in at one time. They can all be done from one IIF file in one routine. So while the import processes, it will give you a screen here. So it will validate all the information that goes in to make sure it's in the correct format. And it will also update any customers that are missing in QuickBooks Online or any inventory items. So it does that in real time, so it minimizes the number of errors that can possibly occur.
Oh, hey, Stephen,
when it's finished,
there are some questions here that are really good, but I'm going to wait until the end to cover them. Do you want to just show how that came into QBO so we have to move into TSheets, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure. So what we're going to do, I'll show you here now what's being imported. So this is the invoice that we've imported from IIF, and you'll see that directly in QuickBooks Online, and there it is. So with all the detail, with all the items that have been created, and we can add into all these particular fields. So that's very quickly how it can be done. We also have the ability to roll back imports. So if you don't like what was done, there's an undo button. It will actually remove it from QuickBooks Online.
That's a big deal.
The very last
That's really good.
Demonstration that I was going to go through, which was actually the delete and modify. So within our export module within our product, we have the ability to update, export transactions or lists from QuickBooks Online out to Excel or QuickBooks Desktop out to Excel. There we can modify them and re-bring them back in, so we can update transactions in batch. But also we have a neat little feature which allows us to delete transactions. So in this example, here's this IIF file that we just imported, this invoice. What I'm going to do is just go through, select those. I'm going to select this option down here to delete from QuickBooks Online, and I can also save it as a file. So let's do that. It gives me a confirmation. So I can delete hundreds of invoices in one go if I need to. I've just done one because we're sort of short on time, and I'll show you how that. So that's been now removed from QuickBooks, and it also saves an Excel file of the data that was removed. So we go in there, we can open Excel. So if you change your mind and you actually want to bring it back in, we can reverse the process, go back into Importer, and then bring that back into QuickBooks.
Hey,
so
Stephen.
I'm speeding up because I know I'm running out of time.
Yeah, 10 minutes doesn't do. 10 minutes definitely doesn't do a lot of service for this. Go ahead, do your wrap up. Yeah,
I could go for hours and hours and hours, but we're running out of time. So that's a little bit about us. We've been 10 years of business, over 12,000 businesses. We support a wide range of QuickBooks desktops. We're a Gold developer. We've got a 30-day free trial, which I recommend you should go off and have a try with. And it works. It's the fully functional version. And the software starts for the importer from $195 and goes up to $285 for the importer and exporter. And it's a one-time license, so you only have to pay once. Okay. How was that? Did I wrap it up in time?
All right, Stephen, thank you very much. While they answer the questions here, I'm going to answer a couple of the questions that are here that you can corroborate if I'm saying no. Somebody's saying, sure, can it import PayPal transactions? So the answer is yes, because PayPal can export in CSV and IIF. There may be a longer answer behind that because PayPal gets a little bit tricky. Can it do stuff from PDF into QuickBooks? No, you have to convert the PDF to Excel first or to CSV. Somebody is saying 30-day trial, awesome. I'm going to download it now. Okay, that's good. Can it import from eBay? Can it import from Amazon? So the answer is, as long as whatever website can export into Excel or CSV, the answer is yes. It doesn't matter where the data is coming from, as long as the data is in Excel or CSV before that. All right, I'm going to switch it over to TSheets. Jessica, are you there?
I am, yes.
Thank you very much. I'm making you presenter, and I'm going to take away the polling question, okay, so you can take it away. And I'm doing the last presentation on the last app. So if we do run 5 minutes long, we'll run 5 minutes long, but we're not going to shorten any of the apps. So Go your
Okay. Hey,
go
I'll
your
try to
10
be
minutes. Go
speedy.
ahead. Yeah, go do your full 10
Perfect. And
minutes.
are you guys able to see my screen all right?
Yes, no problem.
Okay. Perfect. Well, thank you, Hector, for the introduction. My name is Jessica, and I am with the accountant team here at TSheets. So I am going to give you guys just a brief demo of the TSheets product and how it works, and also talk a little bit about the partnership program we have for accounting professionals. So we're just really excited to be here this morning, and thanks for the nomination. So part of the reason that when Hector and I were talking that TSheets was considered for the top 10 for the QuickBooks Power Hour is actually our rating with Intuit. So if you go to apps.com, which is Intuit's whole app ecosystem, you'll be able to go there, just go to apps.com. You can find a ton of different apps here to integrate with your file, but if you look down at top rated, TSheets is actually the #1 rated app in the entire Intuit ecosystem, and that's ratings by QuickBooks Pro advisors, end users, employees who have used the TSheets app at their own work or at their own business. So these ratings come directly from our customer service team, asks for these reviews after phone calls and conversations, and then we have now over 1,600 reviews in the Intuit App Center. So that is where you can find us, so you can actually read actual experiences from our customers, clients, and pro advisors, and you don't just have to take my word for it. So let's go ahead and kick this off and get started. So TSheets at its most high level, we are a time tracking software. We're web-based. We integrate with QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, and you can use this time tracking software for payroll, invoicing, and billing. And so this is a web dashboard here that shows TSheets. So you can log on to your timesheet from any web browser on a laptop, computer, a tablet. We also have a mobile app that you can use to download for your iPhone or Android. You can track time that way. You can access it via a mobile web browser on, those BlackBerry users who are still out there on the fringes. And we also offer a text-in or a dial-in feature as well. So really, any way that you can get your time card to us, we will take it. Even Twitter, believe it or not. So that's all the ways you can track time with TSheets. On the left-hand side of my screen here, you will see my time card. And all this information here, my customers, jobs, service items, classes, even a billable yes/no choice, all of that is imported over from my QuickBooks Desktop or my QuickBooks Online file. So in terms of setting up TSheets, it's virtually done if you integrate with a QuickBooks file. We can also integrate with other softwares as well, but QuickBooks is definitely the easiest one that we have to integrate with, and it works very, very well. So as you'll see, I'm clocked in over here at the left. I have selected the customer I'm working on is the Rembrandt's Coffee House. The job I'm working on is the flower beds, and then the service I'm working on is planting flowers. I've even been able to leave a note on my time card, and those notes will transfer over to the description field in your QuickBooks timesheets in the weekly timesheet section. So I could leave notes here on a particular project or task. If this was being used for billing and invoicing purposes, those notes could even show up on a client's invoice. So what you'll see here is my day total and my week total, along with my task total. So TSheets really helps in tracking overtime costs. So for your clients that have hourly employees, this is going to be a great resource for them. They'll be able to see how long their employees have been on the clock that day, that week, and how long they've been working on that particular task for job costing purposes. So that's where you can see that over here on the left. We have other time cards available as well. So if you aren't looking at this for clients with hourly employees, maybe you're looking to utilize this yourself just to kind of see where you're at. Even if you are using value pricing or value billing, TSheets is still a great tool for those of you that are, just to see how long projects are taking you for job costing purposes.
Yeah, can I say something about that, Jessica?
Of course.
Because I talk about value pricing quite a bit. I'm not an evangelist for it, but I do talk about the value of it. And we use TSheets here internally to track what we're doing for each project. You could do internal timesheet management and also value pricing at the same time. I don't bill by the hour a lot of these projects, but I do want to know more or less where I sit just to make sure I price them correctly. So I don't think TSheets and value pricing clash in any way. Go ahead, Jessica. Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
Thank you for saying that. I totally agree, and that's definitely something we just want to be clear on too is that you can totally use that model and we'll still support that. And like Hector said, it's just great to know how much time you actually are spending on projects to make sure that the value you're associating with that project is accurate and you're really being paid for all the time that you put into a project. So for those of you that aren't going to be punching in and punching out, we do have this manual time card available. This is more similar to the spreadsheet that you might see, a typical timesheet. And with this one, you would just select your customer here on the left, and then you would enter in what day. So let's say I forgot to enter my time in for yesterday, but I worked 8 hours and at 1615 South River Grove, and I was trimming. I'm going to save that. Again, I can leave notes in this notes field and then hit save, and my timesheet updates automatically. So this is going to be more for total hours worked, maybe for just billable hours for those of you that want to track it that way, as opposed to I punched in at 9:05 and I left at 4:55. So I'm going to close that one here, and then as you can see, my week total has updated. So those timesheets do talk back and forth to each other. So if I was to go and add something in there, it would update on this timesheet. I do want to point out that we have so many different types of permissions within TSheets. So if you're seeing something and in your head you're thinking, I wouldn't want my employees to be able to do that, or my clients wouldn't want their employees to be able to do that, I promise that these permissions can be given or taken away depending on the situation. So if you don't want employees to edit timesheets, no problem. TSheets has a setting for that. If you want them to have complete access to edit their timesheets, we've got a setting for that too. Alrighty, so moving on from tracking time, I do want to point out this who's working window over here on the right. We joke at TSheets that this is probably our favorite feature. So I guess it's not even a joke. It's just the best thing because we can see who we can go bug, who's clocked in, so that we know, oh, you know, if so-and-so is clocked in, that means I can go bug them and ask them about something. I can email them at 9 o'clock at night, I guess, if they're clocked in. So this who's working window shows who all in your company is on the clock currently, how long they've been on the clock, and then what project they're working on. And then you can also see GPS locations from here as well. So you'll notice that my name here has this globe icon with a blue balloon. That means that I clocked in from the TSheets mobile app. So if I click on that, this will actually show me a map, and I can zoom in on this map and actually see where my employee clocked in from that day. So if I zoom in here, you'll actually see that I am at TSheets headquarters. It looks like I was actually outside the building when I clocked in this morning, so that was naughty of me. I probably should have waited till I walked in. But you can actually click on this dot here, and it'll show you when I clocked in, what device I was using, and it'll give you the accuracy as well. So this is accurate within 10 meters. And you can also view this map in satellite as well. So this is a nice view of our TSheets headquarters. There's the beautiful Boise River there. So that is what we come into work every day too. So just to make you all a little jealous, it is pretty gorgeous over here in Idaho. So that GPS tracking will pull the location about every 5 to 10 minutes. So if the employees are moving around throughout the day, moving from job to job, tracking time on their mobile device, we'll pull their location about every 5 to 10 minutes. So that map will have a blue dot when the employees are moving around, and then it will have a red dot at the end of the day when an employee clocks out. Moving on to the second main component of TSheets, which is the ability to manage timesheets. So from here, we actually at TSheets do keep an uneditable system log of every timesheet created in the account, which comes into play hugely if you were ever to, God forbid, run into a labor dispute. We have an uneditable time log that would hold up in the court of law. So because you as the administrator would have the ability to edit a timesheet with this pencil icon or even delete a timesheet, that's great. Sometimes mistakes happen. Employees forget to clock in. They forget to clock out. Edits are definitely necessary when it comes to time tracking. However, we're still going to keep that information in our system log so that if an employee came and said, you know, I know that I worked 50 hours, but my time card only shows that I worked 40, you'd be able to pull that system log and show them that no edits were made to that time card, that the hours worked and tracked in TSheets are exactly matched to what they have. Or if an edit was made, you would also be able to see that as well. So it's a really nice safety for the employee and the employer. So again, I can edit the timesheet by clicking this pencil icon, so I can make any changes necessary, change my clock-in time, change the customer that I was working on, even change the employee who works that particular timesheet. I can delete a timesheet. Again, I can view that GPS location, and this is that system log I was mentioning here. So this shows everything that happened on that timesheet in its entirety. I can also add a new timesheet from this option as well. So if an employee totally spaces and forgets to clock out that day, simply clicking on this, I can add a timesheet for whatever employee I need to. And then the last big thing that TSheets does, there are so many, but if I've only got this short time, I want to make sure I cover our reports. So we have a ton of different reports that you can access within TSheets. The one I'm going to show you guys today is the approvals report. This can be run by week, by pay period, by a custom date range. You could run it by a month or even a particular day. I'm going to run this for my last pay period here. And then I can run this by a certain employee. I can run it by all employees. And then I can sort it as well. So I'm just going to run this report so that I can see the time for all my employees. So what I see now is that 2 of my employees worked during this particular date range, this pay period, myself and then Lucky. And then I can go over here on the right. I'll see their total hours worked. And then if I click this View Details option, this will actually break that time down for me into a really nice report where I can see a job breakout, so I can see how much time was spent on each job in the account for that time period. And then I can also see each individual timesheet. So it'll give me a breakout for that date range, all these timesheets here. It'll show me what customer they are working on, the service that they are providing if notes were left. And from this report, I can actually, again, view the GPS location, make edits to a timesheet. So if I find an error here, I can edit that, or I can delete a timesheet as well. This will also show me the overtime breakout. So if my employee did roll into overtime in that particular pay period, it would show me that here. Once I have checked and made sure all of this looks correct, I've viewed the details for both of my employees that worked. I can click this green approve button, which approves my time. Oh, and I'm clocked in, so I'm not going to approve that one, but you would click, well, I'll just go clock out, and then we can. I'll clock out here. So you can't approve time when you're on the clock because what you're saying is that that time is correct and ready to go over into QuickBooks. So I've clocked out. I'll click this approve button. And then you'll notice that it is locked. You can unapprove it from here, or I can go to this QuickBooks drop-down menu and hit Export All Approved Time, and that will send that time right over into the QuickBooks file, either desktop or online, like I mentioned, into the weekly timesheet section. And then from those timesheets, you can run payroll, do invoicing, and your billing as well. So in my last little bit of time, I think I've got maybe 1 more minute. I do want to talk about our Pro program that we have, Pro Advisors, accounting professionals, CPAs. We do offer a totally free account to you, similar to a lot of the other apps that we've been talking about this morning or this afternoon.
Jessica, can you go to that website where you go to get up your free account? Because I want to encourage
Yes, I would love
everybody.
to.
Yeah, I want to encourage everybody to get their free account. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a great program. So if you just go to tsheets.com/pros, you'll just pick which of these makes the most sense to you, which of these 4 topics that you relate the most to. So let's say you're a QuickBooks Pro Advisor. Then you would click Get Started here. You would just fill out this form, and then one of our dedicated Pro reps would give you a call and walk you through your account. So here are the benefits that you get for becoming a TSheets Pro with us. Like I said, you do get that free TSheets account for life. You have dedicated support. So like I said, we do have #1 rated support on the Intuit app ecosystem. And as a Pro Advisor, you actually get an elevated level of support. So Pro Advisor, accountant, bookkeeper, I don't want to exclude anybody, but wherever you fall in the accounting profession, you get that dedicated support. You also have the ability to earn a 20% commission on any referrals that you bring to TSheets. So you'll have your own link that you can send your clients. They can sign up for a free 14-day trial. So every business gets a free 14-day trial of the software. And if they sign up through you and they activate their account, you can start earning a 20% commission on those clients. And you can also offer your client a 10% discount as well. So it's just a win-win for your client and for you. You can use that free account within your own business if you do want to track your time, or you can use it to demo the product to your clients, kick the tires a bit. I know that myself, I don't like to recommend a product unless I know how it works, which I think is the case for the majority of us out there. So being able to even just download the mobile app and try the GPS tracking and to be able to tell your clients, hey, this is a great fit for you based on these different things. So tsheets.com/pros, that's where you would go to sign up for that system, and then we will give you a call. We can walk you through setting up your account, and we just promise to make you look good. So we'll give a demo to any of your clients that you want, make sure that your clients understand the product as well. And I think that about wraps me up. Do we have any questions, Hector?
No, that's it. Thank you, Jessica. So
Okay.
first of all,
You are so welcome.
couple of recommendations. Number one, TSheets has an incredible customer service. So it is like one of the app developers that I blindly say, just call them, they'll take care of you. And that gives me a lot of peace of mind when it comes to recommending an app. So TSheets kind of, figured out the business backwards. Instead of making a great app and then building service around it, they build great service and then an app around it. So I thought that was kind of an interesting approach to doing that. Definitely set up the free account for your practice. Strongly recommend that you do set up the free account for your practice. I also strongly recommend that you check out the resources, sign up for the Pro program because they have tons of training materials, and just contact anyone call the 1-800 number and say, walk me through this. They'll walk you through it. They'll walk your client through it. Well-deserved top 10 spot, as she said, number one app in apps.com. So very last app, let me make myself presenter, make myself presenter again and show my screen. And then here's the last app. So we have TSheets. So TSheets.com, check it out. So I want to talk about QBO Convert Pro. If you heard me talk about this before, then this will be a sort of a repeat thing. If you've never seen this app before, you never seen a demonstration of it, never seen it before, I guarantee you there's a lot of uniqueness factor to it, and you're really, really going to like this demonstration. So 2QBO Convert Pro, the website's easy, 2QBO.com. 2QBO Convert Pro can take PDF files and convert them to .qbo files, which allows you to import them into QuickBooks via bank feeds. So if your client gives you bank statements that are in PDF only, whether they were scanned or they were the digital format, you can grab that information, convert it into a Web Connect file, into a .qbo file, and this can be then manually uploaded into QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online. In order for you not to be doing the manual data entry. Like, I don't think anybody, if I do a polling question that says, do you like doing manual data entry? I think maybe 1% will say yes. So nobody likes to do manual data entry. So there are two ways to import data into QuickBooks. There is through set access, which we talked about a couple minutes ago. Through set access, if the data is already in Excel and the account classifications are there and the vendor names are there, it's a great way to push data into it, especially banking data. But if you want to use bank feeds for many reasons, because bank feeds can do matching and can do other things that data import cannot do, then this is a great alternative. Now, what's great about 2QBO Convert Pro is not a single-use tool. It can take a PDF file, it can take an Excel or a CSV file, or it can take a QIF file. This is like the old Quicken format, and it can convert them all into .qbo format. Now, what's a fun fact about it is their core product called 2QBO Convert Pro that can do digital PDF is a one-time fee, and they're probably going to move into a monthly or annual subscription. I consult 2QBO directly. They seek my advice for a lot of stuff, and one of the advice I make them is, make this a monthly or annual cost tool. This is against my interest, of course, but there's a lot of maintenance that goes to making and improving the tool. So the tool is still available as a one-time cost. So I think I would strongly encourage you to look it up and pick it up. Now, some of the similar tools around it, one called ScanWriter, another one called PDF to Excel. They're not the same. They're similar, and they're not one-to-one comparison. And Z-Axis, it's similar in other ways as well, but the uniqueness factor is you can go from the most unique. I can go from PDF into QBO. All right, so let's talk about how this app works. And I do the demo for this app because I sort of honestly I picked up this app about 2 years ago, and I've been in constant communication with the developer and asking him to add more stuff to it. And so every time I find a need, I say, look, add this, and he's been extremely gracious in terms of adding new features. So it really has helped me out. So this is one of the reasons why I picked them, because it can do both QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop, and they continuously improve the application. So let's talk about what it does and how it does it. So first of all, let's say I have a bank statement and or a credit card statement, And for whatever reason, I can't get the QBO file. Now, so if you already have access to the QBO file, then you don't need this app. And we're talking about getting access to all 12 months worth of QBO, because we're going to come in tax season, and most of our work is going to be entering 12 months worth of bank statements. Now, direct downloads are typically limited to 90 days on QBO and 6 months on QuickBooks Desktop with Direct Connect. Some banks allow you to manually download each one in .qbo format, and if you have that, great. But if you don't have that and you only have the PDF, or you only have an Excel or a CSV, this software is great. Now, it's important to identify some statements are in digital format. Digital format means I can highlight the text like this. See, digital format means that this was not scanned. The bank produced this from its original source, and all the data there is in text. This is the optimal way to convert. If you have a digital PDF, this is the optimal way. I would say it's 99.99% flawless when it's a digital format. Now, sometimes it's not in digital format. Sometimes you scanned it. Now, scanning is a little bit tricky. So when it's scanned, I would say like this one, if I try to highlight anything, it won't let me. So that's kind of how you know when it's scanned. You can also tell, by the quality of the text and the fussiness. You can text this was a scanned statement. Anyway, when it's scanned, QBO Convert Pro can also handle OCR, but there are potential errors if there's markings or if there's creases or things like that. All right, so let me show you. I'm going to first just do a conversion with a clean digital PDF. So I'm going to click on Convert, and I'm going to pick my file here. Let me go to the desktop, and I should have in my desktop a folder called 2QBO, and then I'm going to start with the clean digital PDF. This is the one that is not scanned. This is the original one from the bank. So I can go straight to converting it to a CSV, which is kind of cool because when I do convert to a CSV, I can do some edits or I can preview it, and then I can bring it back into the software and do the QBO conversion. So I'm going to click on preview, and basically this is going to read that digital PDF statement, and it's going to put it on this screen. And this screen is going to say, okay, I detected the date, I detected the payee, the amount, the memo, and then I get to choose, don't import this one, don't import that one. So it's kind of powerful where I can tell it what I don't want it to convert in the QBO file. Up in the top right, it'll tell you how many total credits, how many total debits. So you can just quickly kind of check against the statement itself and just kind of verify that. Let me just zoom this in here. I can just quickly verify if the debits and the credits match. Okay, so that's just kind of a quick way. And then, if there are any errors along the way on the read, I can actually double click on any of these and make a correction like this. See, I can just make a correction. And down here, I tell it, how I want these things mapped. Now, one of the really cool things about this is I can take the payee information and the memo information, and I can duplicate it into the memo field. So when I import it into QuickBooks Desktop, even after I changed the vendor's name, when I rename it, the entire memo comes in. So that's kind of the nice thing about being able to manipulate that .qbo file before I import it. Then up here where it says set QuickBooks account info, this is what I have to tell it, this is a bank, this is a credit card. I have to tell it what bank it is. So QuickBooks has to match it to a national bank. So if it's a national bank or a pretty large bank, it would be in the list. If the bank is not in the list, doesn't really matter. You can pick any bank. QuickBooks will let it import no matter what. And then the account number, this is how I identify, if I have multiple imports, this is how I identify which one's which. That way QuickBooks doesn't get confused when it starts importing. Then when I'm ready to export, I can do a create QBO, and then I can open up a QuickBooks Desktop in this case and go to File, Utilities, Import, Web Connect. Okay, and I'll go ahead and pick. Let me just click here, Desktop, and select the folder, and I'll pick the .qbo file and click on Open, and it would be, imagine as if I had downloaded this from the bank. So basically what this does in a nutshell is this can take any PDF file or Excel file and can convert it in such a way that QuickBooks thinks this came straight from the bank. And the real powerful thing behind it is being able to use the bank feeds instead of manual data entry. Okay, the big question I get always, especially because I talk about two apps, ZAxis and 2QBO, is which one do I choose or which one do I use? These serve different purposes. Okay, 2QBO can take bank and credit card data only and make a QBO file for you to do the import and do the data entry via bank feeds. Where ZAxis doesn't take anything to bank feeds, puts it straight into the register, but it requires you to clean up the vendors in ZAxis and clean up the accounts in ZAxis and have an account before you can import it. So it's a very different dynamic and they solve different problems. These are my two favorite apps from a data import perspective. In my toolbox, I use both of these in different circumstances. Sometimes I import invoices, I use ZAxis. I want to import petty cash transactions that I have in Excel, I use 2QBO. Now, this import can also be done in QuickBooks Online the exact same way, right? It's just basically going into the manual upload. Now, I'll just show you real quick before we wrap it up. If I choose a statement that is a scan statement, I'm going to click on preview. The system's going to run into an OCR mode, and it's going to take a little bit longer because now the system has to now figure out what's what, because it has to convert that scanned image into text. And while it goes through this process, there could be errors if there are markings or if there are creases. So I recommend that if you can have the original digital PDF, that's typically sort of the best option. But if you can't, just be prepared to do some corrections on the preview mode, which I'll show you in a second when it's finished doing it. Let me go through some questions while this goes to the conversion. Somebody says, I have an Excel spreadsheet with some transactions that I entered manually because there were cash transactions. Can I convert this to a QBO file and import this into my petty cash account? Absolutely. That's actually a great, I think I just talked about that. That's actually a great way to use it. So let me just show you real quick. So this was a credit card statement that was scanned, and sometimes it doesn't pick up the date correctly, and it highlights it in yellow just to let you know, hey, listen, there may be an error here. And all you have to do is just manually change the date in there. Again, because this was a red scanned statement. But this still really beats manual data entry. Even if I have to go in there and correct a couple of dates and a couple of amounts before doing the import, I would still prefer to do this rather than manual data entry. So then I do the mapping and select each column to what it belongs to, and then I do a create to QBO. And the last sort of important tip about this, which is why I think this is so powerful, is I never import anything straight into the bank without cleaning it up in Excel first. I always convert it into CSV. I manipulate it a little bit. I clean up some of the vendors are repeated. I clean up some of the memos. For the example of check images, for example, with check images specifically, I actually have my client write down all the vendor names, and I put the vendor name in the Excel spreadsheet or in the CSV spreadsheet, and then I create the QBO. That way, when I import it to bank feeds, I don't even have to put the vendor's name in there. I can use the renaming rules for the vendor's names as well, which is like the one area that people really don't like, the one deficiency from just doing bank feeds is the fact that the checks don't come in. All right, so that's it for the demonstration. I'm going to go through the questions real quick before we wrap it up. Ralph from Money Thumb, I unmuted your phone, your audio. Did I miss something, or was there something that you want to add?
No, I think you captured it very well, Hector. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ralph, this is the other thing. A lot of people that read my blog and have seen stuff that I've done with this have bought sort of the lower level product, like the one that does just CSV to QBO, and the ones that do PDF to QBO only. I recommend the 2QBO product because that's sort of the Swiss Army knife of QBO conversions. So will you accept somebody to upgrade and just pay the difference if need to, if they contact you directly?
Yes, we always do that.
Okay, so his email is
Ralph. And if you've purchased the PDF product, there is an upgrade to add the OCR version. That's part of it. That's a standard thing you can buy on the website. And otherwise, the best thing is just to go through our support ticket system. We have a couple people who can answer that and give you a coupon or recommend the best way to upgrade.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, Ralph. All right, so I'm going to wrap things up. I'm just going through the questions here to see if there's anyone else that has a question. It looks like about 80%, 90% of people stuck past the extra hour, so I really appreciate the fact that you guys checked out the last demo. So anyway, honorable mentions. These are the ones that made our top list but didn't make the top 10. So Avalara Sales Tax Management, ScanWriter was kind of the pioneer in this whole bank statement scanning thing. But it only scans straight into QuickBooks Desktop. It can do QBO, and it can go through bank feeds. So it's a little bit different than to QBO Convert Pro. Citrix ShareFile, great app for secure client portal and document management. Fundera is a very easy to use system for applying for bank loans, and it can take some of the QuickBooks Online data. Spotlight Reporting is a real great multi-source report and analytics tool similar to Qvinci and Finagraph. Tax Planner Pro is the only income tax planning tool I've seen that connects to QuickBooks Online. Honorable mention there. Practice Ignition, great engagement and proposal management tool. SOS Inventory, it's a really easy to use inventory add-on for QBO, which is a very weak product for inventory. QBO is a very simple inventory tool. Qbox is a safe and conflict-free way to sharing a QuickBooks Desktop file between two users, accountant and user, something like that. MyQuickCloud is server-grade remote access tool for non-servers. BizTools does comprehensive financial statement analytics only for QuickBooks Desktop. Now, the ones from this page have actually done a demo in QB Power Hour, so I put them in one page, but they don't have the same. They all have the same weight. The other group of honorable mentions are Tax 1099. We hope to bring them in next month for a demo. That would be awesome because the most important month to deal with 1099s is January. Comprehensive 1099 solution. Seventh Stage is a comprehensive inventory and product processing solution for QuickBooks Online. Fathom HQ, highly visual KPI reporting tool. Arrow Workflow, easy to use, great flow workflow management for accounting firms, built by accountants for accountants. Funding Gates AR management tool. So if you have tons of AR problems, it's a great way to engage your AR department into calling and following up with people. LifePlan, great business plan creation and budget management tool. Concur, similar to Expensify, travel and management app. Transaction Pro Importer, similar to SetAccess, great for importing Excel and CSV files. QCube is the most advanced report analytics tool for QuickBooks Desktop, bar none. Unify, it used to be called Webgility. It's an e-commerce integration tool that works with QBO and Desktop. Exact Online is a comprehensive inventory and manufacturing app. Check it out if you need comprehensive manufacturing and inventory for QuickBooks Online. Gusto or Send Payroll is sort of a payroll alternative to Intuit Payroll. Jobber, great field service management app. And Practice IQ, similar to Arrow Workflow, is a team collaboration and workflow management tool. All right, that was a lot of talking for 1 hour. So we're going to send you an email with all these apps. Strongly encourage you to look at those top 10. Congratulations to those developers that made a great app. And we're going to send you links to all three that were demonstrated. And don't miss the next episode on January 14th. It will probably be payroll topics because that makes sense. And then we're going to get back to every other week topics. Now I'm going to ask a quick polling question. I just want to see if you think that a 1 hour free webinar completely separate from QB Power Hour to go in detail about using this 2QBO tool is something that you would be interested on. I just want to know whether or not I should put one together because we didn't cover a lot of things. We didn't cover banking, credit cards. So I wanted to see if there's enough interest here so we can spend some time building a whole webinar dedicated to that particular tool. Maybe we'll combine them and do one for 2QBO and SetAccess or something like that. Somebody's asking, what is the cost of 2QBO Convert Pro? I mean, just check out the website, 2QBO.com. The core product is $249 one-time fee, which is the one that can convert CSV, Excel, and PDF into QuickBooks, but it can only do digital PDFs. And then there's an additional add-on that has an annual fee, I believe, of $50 for the first year to do the scanned PDFs as well. All right. So let me see what else. Can QBO convert to QuickBooks? To QBO Convert Pro convert to QuickBooks Online? Yes, it absolutely can convert to QuickBooks Online because it converts it to a QBO file. So that could either work for QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop. Question about TSheets. Can I use TSheets only for invoicing billable time for my clients? I'm not interested to use it for payroll processing. So the answer is yes. For TSheets, you can do time tracking and convert those into a QuickBooks timesheet that then ultimately can be converted into a billable invoice. And the other part of another question on TSheets says, can I use TSheets with ADP or paychecks? And the answer is yes. TSheets can export a flat file that ADP or paychecks can import that. Somebody's asking, how do I log into the next webinar? Well, what if you're here, you're going to get invitations to every single webinar, so you don't have to worry about that. Let me see. What is Michelle's link for the Firm of the Future webinar? So just go to firmofthefuture.com and do that. Somebody says, how do I import third-party payroll transactions that are in Excel and bring them into QuickBooks Online? So you would use Z-Access for that, right? So you would convert that into some sort of spreadsheet that can bring in as a journal entry, and that can be imported through Z-Access. So let me see what else I have here. I mean, there's just like tons of questions here. I don't think I have time to answer them all. Okay. So for Z-Access, do I have to create my own Excel files that then I import? Yeah, the answer is yes. The Excel files would come from something, and then that would come in. Okay, let me see. There are some other questions about here saying, oh, which version of QBO should I buy? PDF to QBO or to QBO Convert Pro? So the one called PDF to QBO, it's only for PDF files. The one that's just called to QBO Convert Pro, that one can do PDF, Excel, and QIF. So I recommend just the bigger of the tools. And what is the Pro Plus? So anything with in the 2QBO tool, anything with the plus is the one that can actually do scanned images. All right, I think I'm just going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for attending the webinar. I hope that you learned something or a whole lot. I covered top 10 apps and also a whole bunch of honorable mentions. You're going to get an email with all these apps, so you can obviously explore them. Hopefully, they're a nice little library for you to have in the future. If we don't talk again before the end of the year, I would say happy holidays and happy new year. Hopefully, we'll be able to do sort of a surprise webinar between now and January 14th. Otherwise, I'll see you January 14th. Thank you very much for attending, and you guys have a wonderful day.